The New York Times critic John Pareles has described Coldplay as the most insufferable band of the decade. Does he have a point? Let's get into it, shall we? Coldplay are a testament to the fact that music doesn't always have to ask questions or be challenging. Sometimes it can just be, and be bloody awful. Not that I'm saying Coldplay are bloody awful. In fact, they are renowned for whipping up into a froth middle-aged women and geography teachers everywhere. But nevertheless, there seems to be a well of stomach-churning hate reserved just for this band amongst British music lovers. In fact, ever since they informed us that the stars were indeed yellow, many consider their output has become somewhat tepid. In fact, their album Ghost Stories was described by one critic as a stagnant pool of premium grade cockwash. For many, this band represents a kind of fair trade tea appropriation of rock and roll. But credit where credit's due, this band have sold over 100 million albums worldwide, qualifying them as one of the best-selling acts of all time, and 2 of the 15 highest-grossing tours in history to their name. But how much of the dislike for this band actually stems from a dislike of Chris Martin?
Do you take this woman to lecture you about trans fats for as long as you both shall live?
I do.
And do you take this man to be a watered-down Bono until death do you part?
I do.
I now pronounce you pretentious and terrible. You may name your daughter after a fruit.
I remember acquiring their first 2 albums and rather enjoying them. I quite liked Clocks, that was a timely number, wasn't it? And despite their detractors, I feel their music has its place. I find their music is most excellent for moving your bowels to. Nothing screams evacuation like their Moon Music album. I think it's the lead vocals, a bit like the lowings of a birthing heifer or the migratory song of humpbacks. It kind of loosens everything, if you know what I mean. They might well be a global leviathan, but they seem to be one of the most divisive bands ever. So why all the hate for them? I can think of 3 good reasons. Their music is very inoffensive and lacks any real edge to it. They're kind of the anti-Sex Pistols, an act that repulses not through outrage, bad manners and poor grooming, but through their inoffensive niceness and emollient personableness. It's really quite revolting. I think many consider them emblematic of a vanilla middle-class virtue signalling cringeworthy hogwash. Take this recent clip from the band's concert in India.
Amazing to us that you welcome us even though we are from Great Britain. Thank you for forgiving us for all of the bad things Great Britain has done.
I mean, this is a cretinous, absolutely cretinous thing to say.
Good lord, if that doesn't set your gorge rising, nothing will. In fact, rumour has it you can even buy a Saint Chris Martin candle, which, to be honest with you, I find incredibly hard to believe. Much of this hatred may be traced to the demise of Britpop, and the jangle of those guitars was just a ghostly rattle in the margins. Everyone was asking at the dawn of the new millennium what was going to replace it. And with bands like Blur and Oasis barely discernible, up stepped Coldplay, and bands like Snow Patrol and Keane with their blubbery songs and nothingy lyrics, like poured cups of lukewarm tea into our collective gullets. Interestingly, the head of Creation Records, Alan McGee, has described Coldplay as bedwetters music. And Johnny Buckland, the keyboardist, I believe, has hit back at accusations that the band are a bit beige, stating that pretending to be a bit mad would be sad. And therein lies the problem. Using phrases like a bit mad typify the group's status as the Timothy Mallets of rock, with their dirge-like bleatings.
I don't care. Jury duty sounds boring. I'm gonna get myself kicked out. Just like I got kicked out of Coldplay. Guys, I got an idea. How about we do a song that's not whiny bullcrap?
Chris Martin is the epitome of neutered rock and roll, the Fair Isle sweater of stadium rock, and seemingly cannot transition between one place and another without skipping. He slides across the floor like a toddler sucking on a Benzedrine teat as he punches and kicks the air, no doubt in anticipation of their post-gig Horlicks, and revels in his own cuddliness. And for those of us dealing with the soul-sucking grind of everyday life, this musical embodiment of unbridled positivity is just difficult to stomach. It just doesn't sit right, does it? Yet credit where credit's due, they do write all their own material, and they're not easily pigeonholed. I like to think of them as indie music for people that really hate indie music. Yet they've managed to rise above the birthing mucus of major label detritus to become one of the world's biggest acts. Like them or loathe them, there's something strangely authentic about Coldplay. Even if you think they are authentically awful, they do sell millions of records without being cynically marketed towards a teenage demographic, making them, in the words of one writer, somewhat of a relic in today's age of Max Martin productions. If I may quote Craig Lindell, Chris Martin, for all his talent, is an employee eating a cheese sandwich in his cubicle. He is the guy you met at the party one time who you really need to delete off Facebook but haven't. He is the next Christmas sale your uncle's shopping in fat face. By choosing not to like Chris Martin's music, we're choosing to strive harder, higher, and further than what we dream to be average. Chris Martin has never really offended anyone, and therein lies the problem. He is the unrelentingly safe magnolia emulsion of rock. I mean, lyrics like, I came along, I wrote a song for you, and all the things you do, and it was called Yellow. This is just symptomatic of the dreariness that many critics point to. I mean, it's not yellow, is it? It's beige. In any other walk of life, if you presented a woman with a song like that you'd written, she'd slam shut tighter and drier than a pharaoh's tomb. Oh, fuck me. I mean, when The Guardian is describing your music as grindingly tedious, you must acknowledge there is a problem there. Their music is an oasis of airy nothingness. The big singles, of course, Clocks, Fix You Yellow, In My Place, Strawberry Swing, Viva La Vida, The Scientist, undeniably possess a melodic quality that allows them to soar and transcend the mass bleatings of those that flock to see them. Lemmy once said in 2004 when discussing the state of rock that these are not rock bands, they are sub-emo. What a clever bastard that Lemmy was. This band would sit comfortably with Bono and The Edge, sipping their lager tops, no doubt. Even their debut album, which is where most of the excitement resides for this band, was described by Pitchfork as harmless and pretty, but nothing else. This is the gold standard of averageness, with music designed to be played in huge stadiums with crowds swaying back and forth with their lighters held aloft. Oh, those forced feel-good vibes. Coldplay perhaps is perfect music for a wedding. But to me, this band are like wallpaper, not the big flowery swirls of the 1970s, but the kind of bland magnolia woodchip pulp that used to adorn dentists' waiting rooms nationwide. There you have it. That's 3 reasons why people want to hate Coldplay, I think. To me, their music is fairly inoffensive. There is this drive in the world today to make everything as inoffensive as possible, not realising that that in itself is quite offensive. Anyway, I shall leave it there. If you've enjoyed this video, please do share it, click like, subscribe, check that notification bell, do all that stuff. It's much appreciated. And check some of the links below this video for ways you can support the sterling work done at Classic Album Review. Become a patron, why not? There's a fine body of work on there now. We're forming a real classic rock community over there. Anyway, I'll leave you with my closing salvo, which is hope you're well, staying safe, and of course that you keep listening.